What's up, everybody? Welcome to part 4 of my top 100 favorite music artist list, and this will be from 25 to 1, meaning the last part, obviously. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I'm a little bit pissed off right now because this is my third attempt on doing this video. And the first attempt, I fucked up, so I didn't finish it. The second attempt, I did finish it. I did. And I was about to upload it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I might have accidentally deleted it. So yeah, I'm kind of pissed off right now. Not gonna lie. But I've been putting this video off for days now. So I'm just gonna go ahead, rip the Band-Aid off, get it over with. This video might be a bit shorter than the others. We'll see. I mean, I will talk about each band, but you know, I just want to get this over with. So yeah. So if this video sucks, that's why. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with number 25. Okay. So coming at number 25, we have a pop rock band from the 70s that is Electric Light Orchestra, aka ELO. Amazing band. I think they're just awesome. Jeff Lynne is very talented, a very good singer, very good songwriter, and ELO is one of those bands that everybody has heard. Whether it's been in a movie or a TV show, they're everywhere. And like the song Mr. Blue Sky, which I love. That's a great song and probably their best. But that song is so overused in movies. Directors, just stop using that song. Same with Shining Star by Earth, Wind & Fire. Just stop it. But Mr. Blue Sky is a great song. Living Thing is awesome too. That was in Boogie Nights. My personal favorite by them is Sweet Talking Woman. That's a great one. Yeah, ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, they're my number 25. Coming out at number 24, we have a solo artist who is very influential. Unfortunately, he passed away way too soon. And if you like Phoebe Bridgers, who I had in my last part, check this guy out because he's a big influence on Phoebe Bridgers. That is Elliott Smith. This guy had an amazing voice. I loved his lo-fi recordings, especially on the early albums like this one and the first, and even Either Or. But yeah. And I think some people don't like the fact that he multi-tracked a lot of his songs. Like, he dubbed another voice on top of one voice. I think it worked with the music, so I like it. But yeah, I love Elliott Smith. It sucks that he died like just way too soon, like in 2003. And yeah, but yeah, great artist. My favorite song from him is Christian Brothers, which Queens of the Stone Age actually covered. And their cover was okay, but I really like the original a lot, though. So yeah. Elliott Smith is my number 24. Coming at number 23, we have a band I was super into as a teenager. Still love them to this day, obviously. That's REM. Like long before Nirvana made it big, alternative rock was still somewhat big, but like, just not quite yet. But there were bands like REM and U2 that were already very popular. And yeah, REM's just fantastic. That lineup, Michael Stipe, Peter Buck, Mike Mills, and Bill Berry, just classic. They're all great. Even Michael Stipe. I know some people don't like his voice. I do. But yeah. Yeah, REM's fantastic. They're no longer with us though. Well, I mean, they're all still alive, but the band, they broke up in 2011. Retired, I would say. I know. I think a couple of them are still doing music, but yeah. but yeah, great band. My favorite song from them is actually from the album Adventures in Hi-Fi, which is ironic because that was the follow-up to Monster, which is actually my favorite REM album, by the way. And in my opinion, this is the last good REM album. I mean, I don't think the ones after this is bad, but I'm just not a huge fan of those albums after Monster. But there's one song that happens to be my favorite, and it's from the follow-up to this one, New Adventures in Hi-Fi. That's Leave. That song is fucking amazing. Yeah. Close second would be Country Feedback from Out of Time, but that was my favorite for a while until I heard Leave, and I'm like, damn, that song's amazing. But yeah, REM, they're my number 23. Coming at number 22, we have another band that actually broke up in the same year as REM in 2011. So did the White Stripes, but I don't know why all these great bands decided to break up that year, but yeah, that's Sonic Youth. Sonic Youth were a band they had a great run, also a great lineup as well. Thurston Moore, Kim Gordon, Lee Renando, and Steve Shelley. That's the classic lineup, at least. I got to be honest, and Sonic Youth fans might hate me for this, but I'm not a big Kim Gordon fan. I think she's my least favorite member, at least of the classic lineup. And don't get me wrong, she was still good. I like her. I think she was a decent bass player, and she, had a cool image. I mean, and she was good looking too, of course. But the thing I don't like about her, I don't like her as a singer. I can't stand her voice. I gotta be honest. I really don't like her voice. And most of the songs that she sung on, with the exception of Star Power, she just sounded terrible to me. I'm sorry. And a lot of times she didn't even sing. She just did spoken word. But even that, it was just kind of annoying to me. I don't know, but I love Thurston Moore's voice. He has a great voice. Lee Renando even had a good voice. Yeah, I mean, of course, if Kim Gordon wasn't in the band, then of course the band wouldn't be the same. But she's just, in my opinion, the weakest link. I'm sorry, but still a great band nonetheless. My favorite song from them is Sunday. However, it's not the version that's on A Thousand Leaves, which is ironic because Washing Machine, in my opinion, is the last good Sonic Youth album. I'm not a fan of the ones after that one. However, I do like Sunday. I always did. But it wasn't my favorite song until I heard the version that's on the Suburbia soundtrack, which is the Richard Linklater movie, not the 80s movie. Great film, by the way. That movie's so good. But the version that's on that soundtrack, that is my favorite song, is the Suburbia version of Sunday. It's longer than the album version. I think this version's 8 minutes long, and it's more lo-fi sounding, noisier. It's just so good. But yeah, check out that version if you haven't. It's really good. But yeah, Sonic Youth, they were actually my favorite band at one point, believe it or not. But they're obviously not, but they're still in the top 25, so there we go. Sonic Youth, they're my number 22. Coming in at number 21, we have my favorite female solo artist. And I gotta be honest, even though she's not my number one favorite music artist, she is, however, my favorite singer. And that is Bjork. Or Bjork, or however you say her name. I don't know, Bjork is just kind of easier to say, so yeah, if I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. But I fucking love Bjork. She is a goddess. She is the Icelandic goddess. Yeah, and she is just absolutely amazing. And I'm very much attracted to her. Not just for her looks, even though, yeah, she's beautiful, don't get me wrong. But it's her talent. talent is very attractive, and like if you're good looking, sure, but if you're good looking and talented, then yeah, you're automatically a crush of mine. And that's where Bjork is for me. I love her, man, and yeah, she has an amazing voice. It's really strange, unique. Some people don't like her voice. I love it though, and her music's pretty weird too, but it's awesome. And yeah, she's just amazing. I unfortunately I haven't heard like any album after Homogenic, but once I do my Bjork ranking, I will of course listen to them all, obviously. But yeah, she's outstanding. I love her to death. Favorite song from her is Hybrid Ballad from my favorite album Post. At least at the moment is Post. But yeah, Hybrid Ballad. It's a great song. Yeah, Bjork is my number 21. And then coming at number 20, we have a band that is considered to be a rap group, but I consider them more as a rock band. I mean, they rap, yes, but they're more than that. That's the Beastie Boys. Yeah, whenever they started, they weren't rap at all. They were hardcore punk, and then they switched over to rap. But then by the time their third album, Check Your Head, came out, that's whenever they started picking up their instruments again. And they did hardcore punk again on that album, but they also did jazz funk instrumentals, and that shit was fucking killer. I mean, of course, I love the rap stuff, and even the hardcore punk stuff is cool too. But the jazz funk is where they prove that they're actually a very talented band. And MCA especially, he was an amazing bass player, and he had a great voice too. I think he out of all three of them, I thought he was the best rapper, and he had the best voice out of the three. But yeah, rest in peace to him. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2012 due to cancer, and yeah, that sucks. But they still had a great career though, and yeah, Beastie Boys, they'll forever be legends. And yeah, they're my number. Oh wait, favorite song is Eggman from my favorite album, Paul's Boutique. Eggman is awesome. Yeah, Beastie Boys is number 20. Okay, I'm gonna get a drink of coffee real quick. Okay, coming in at number 19, we have Queens of the Stone Age. An awesome, I guess you can call them stoner rock. That's what most people, I guess, call them. Josh Homme is a very talented dude. I love his voice, and yeah, this was the band he formed after Kyuss broke up, and a little bit different from Kyuss, because I think Kyuss was a little more heavy metal. This one, while there's still some metal elements to Queens of the Stone Age, I wouldn't necessarily call them a heavy metal band. I mean, they definitely can be heavy, but yeah, they're great though. My brother actually got me into them because he's a huge fan of them as well, and yeah. Favorite song from them is from their debut, self-titled. That would be "You Can't Quit Me, Baby." That song is so cool. Has a great I don't know if it's a guitar riff or a bass line, but it sounds cool. It might be a guitar, but yeah. Queens of the Stone Age, they're my number 19. Coming in at number 18, we have another solo artist, and this guy is a legend in music in general. Like, he's not one genre. All of his albums are all different, and unfortunately he passed away. You might know who I'm talking about. That's David Bowie. Just an outstanding artist, insanely talented, and he had a shitload of albums. I will rank them all though. Like, I have a rule. I actually just recently came up with this rule, but like, if an artist has like 30 or more albums, then I will like separate from decade for them. But whenever I do album rankings, but which I plan on doing that again. I know it's been a while, but yeah, I'm actually working on David Bowie as we speak, along with my next artist as well. But anyways, but David Bowie has like 25, 26 albums, so I could do that in one video. It might be a long video, but still. But anyways, back to David Bowie. He just had an amazing career. Just all kinds of different albums. Not all of them were great, but if you look at his catalog in general, it's just an outstanding catalog. Even with the bad albums, it's still pretty impressive. And there's still some talent even in those bad albums too. I imagine, even though I haven't really heard them yet. But yeah, but yeah, David Bowie, just an amazing artist. Favorite song from him is from my favorite album, at least of right now, which is Ziggy Stardust. That's the opening track, 5 Years, which not only is that my favorite David Bowie song, but as of right now, that's my number one favorite song ever. Like, that song is a fucking masterpiece. It's so good. Like, I honestly do think it's his best song. I mean, I haven't heard all of his songs. He has a lot. But I will be surprised if I hear one that I think is better than that one, because that song is just an 11 out of 10 song. It's that damn good. The quote Spinal Tap, of course. But yeah. Shout out to Spinal Tap. But yeah, David Bowie, number 18. Spinal Tap would probably be a honorable mention if I put honorable mentions. Maybe. Okay, so coming in at number 17. Yeah, this is the other band I'm also working on a ranking for. That's one of the best 90s bands. That's the Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah. Or Smashing Pumpkins, not the Smashing Pumpkins. I just call them Smashing Pumpkins. I just think it's weird with the in the beginning of it. But still, yeah. Smashing Pumpkins. Billy Corgan. I mean, I've heard he's not a good person, or at least not a pleasant person to be around with. But he is an amazing artist, and yeah, that's why I like him. If I ever met the guy, maybe I wouldn't like him as a person, but he is a great artist, and the classic lineup with him and James and Jimmy Chamberlain and Darcy, who is the only one that's not in the band currently. The other two guys are, but that lineup, that's where the Pumpkins really shined. Like, that lineup was just amazing. Yeah, unfortunately Darcy's not in it, but Jimmy and James are. They're back. They've been back for a while, actually, but yeah, just one of the best 90s bands. Favorite song from them is from my favorite album, Siamese Dream, which, by the way, this is the deluxe edition that I have. But yeah, favorite is Luna, the closing track on Siamese Dream. That song is so beautiful. I love it. Yeah, Smashing Pumpkins, they're my number 17. Coming at number 16, we have a Canadian solo artist who is very influential on the folk scene, whether it's folk rock or just folk in general. He was a big influence on, I imagine, Elliott Smith and probably Phoebe Bridgers as well. Actually, yeah, she had a song called Leonard Cohen. Her band Boy Genius had a song called Leonard Cohen. So there we go. Yeah, that's my number 7. I just mentioned him. Yeah, okay. Number 16 is Leonard Cohen. I didn't mean to say his name yet, but yeah, Leonard Cohen. This guy, yeah, he's a great artist, great songwriter. And his voice too, although it changed throughout his career, because like, you listen to his later stuff in like the 80s and 90s, like, he had a really deep voice, and I probably after that too, but then you listen to his early stuff and it sounded so much different. Like, I don't know what happened to him, aging, I guess. I think he might have been a smoker, so probably that, but But yeah, that like because I think when I first heard Leonard Cohen, I heard the later stuff with his deep voice, and but then when I first heard like his early stuff, I was like, "That's Leonard Cohen? What?" Like I couldn't believe it. That being said, I actually like his early stuff more. Like the whenever it's like acoustic folk with mostly just him and sometimes some female backing vocals too. That's the Leonard Cohen I love. The later stuff isn't bad either. Like I like some songs like "The Future" from Natural Born Killers. That was a good song, and "Everybody Knows" is a good song as well. But I like the early stuff like Suzanne and "Who by Fire." And my personal favorite as well, that would be "Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye." Yeah, yeah, Leonard Cohen's fantastic. He's in my number 16. But coming at number 15, we have another Canadian artist, a Canadian rock band. That's let's say Leonard Cohen again. Arcade Fire. Yeah, it's my number 15. Just a great indie rock band. I remember when I reviewed the movie Her. I mentioned them because they did the score for that movie, and I thought the score was good. And someone in the comments of that review said, well, I said in the thing, I was like, I thought I liked the Arcade Fire score. I haven't really listened to them. Maybe I will someday. And so one of my subscribers said in the comments, "Yeah, you should listen to them. They're really good." And I'm like, "Okay." And I did, and I was blown away. Like right away, I fell in love with Arcade Fire. They're outstanding. Yeah. Favorite song from Arcade Fire is a deep cut from this album, which is my favorite, The Suburbs. That would be Rococo. That song is awesome. Yeah, Arcade Fire's great. They're my number 14. No, 15. My number 14 is another solo artist, and that is Beck. And much like David Bowie, Beck, he has experimented throughout his career as well. Of course, he's still making music to this day. It's been a little while since he put out an album. I wasn't a fan of his last two albums, to be honest, but other than those, like the rest of his catalog is really good. And he started out doing like anti-folk songs mixed with like blues and country. My foot fell asleep, sorry. But then later on, he started adding like rap, and he did a funk album, Midnight Vultures, and yeah, he just like did all kinds of different genres after that, and he's just he's awesome. David Bowie might be better, but I personally like Beck better. He's just cooler. That's all it is. Like ever since when I first heard Loser, I was hooked, and then when I first heard the album Odelay, I was like, yeah, I'm a fan of this guy. He's amazing. Favorite song from Beck is from my favorite album, Mellow Gold. That's Beer Can. Beck is my number 14. And then coming in at number 13, we have my favorite rap group. I even like this band better than the BC Boys, obviously because they're higher. And what's interesting is that this is a new-ish rap group, and I'm not into like new-ish rap. Like I like the older stuff, 80s, 90s mostly. But this band, however, I think they're outrageous. They're just crazy, and I love them. That's my number 13, Death Grips. Death Grips are fucking insane, and I love weird bands, so you got a weird rap group, I'm down. Three guys. They have a drummer, Zach Hill. Is that his name, Zach Hill? I think it is. Awesome drummer. Andy, whatever his last name is, I forgot, but he does the keyboards and sampling, turntables and whatnot. And then you got MC Ride on vocals. and he is my favorite rapper. This guy is just like some guy. You look at him too. He even looks intimidating. He's like this skinny black dude who always has his shirt off and with tattoos, and yeah, he looks like a guy you don't want to fuck with, without a doubt. And his voice is just crazy. He can be funny at times though too. He does like some funny stuff with his voice that makes me laugh. But and they're a funny band too. I don't think they're supposed to be. I don't know if they're supposed to be intentionally funny. Maybe they are. They kind of seem like they could be intentionally funny at times, but they're pretty funny. They do make me laugh at times, but they're also just a crazy awesome band. I love Death Grips. Favorite song is from, actually not on this album. It's actually from the mixtape before this, Ex-Military. That'd be I Want It, I Need It, which is a really funny song because I think it's about like, I think it's just like making fun of like all these like macho like college jocks who all they talk about is sex. You know, that's all they ever talk about. And like, if you have a rap song that has the words volcano pussy in it, then yeah, that's my favorite by you. But yeah, Death Grips, they're awesome. They're my number 13. Coming at number 12, we have a band I've been into. Speaking of weird bands, we have a band that I've been into ever since I was a teenager. Actually, ironically, the frontman of this band actually did a song with Death Grips called More Than the Fairy or something like that. But, you know, this band is way different than Death Grips. I mean, that's one thing they have in common, but also, you know, yeah, the lead guy did a song with Death Grips, but they're also pretty strange too. That makes them a little similar, but musically they're different. Anyways, that's my number 12, Primus. Yeah, you might think it's odd that I have Primus this high up, but man, there's some days where I just want to put Primus even higher because they're just an amazing band, even though they suck. Not really, but Primus fans say they suck. No, they're actually amazing. Les Claypool, that's the guy who, of course, yeah, I was talking about, that did a song with Death Grips. But he is an outstanding bass player, and as a bass player myself, he makes me so jealous. There's no way I can play like him. Not even if I try. But I'm actually scared to try, to be honest. But and he has a weird voice too, but it's great though with the music. And you know, he's the one that really ties the band together, but like well, they've had like, he's the main guy. He's the one that's been in it since the beginning, and then there's been like some others that's been in and out of the band throughout the years. But Larry, forgot his last name, but he's a great guitar player. And then is it Herb? Yeah, Tim Alexander, he's a great drummer. And the guy after him too, Brian Montana, I think, maybe, isn't it? I think, wait, no, that's the guy that's Paul Rudd from Anchorman, I think. But Brian Montana, yeah. Anyways, but whoever that guy was, yeah, Primus though, they're insane. They're a weird ass band. Their videos are weird as fuck, but I love Primus. I can't get enough of them. Favorite song from Primus is the actually the title song of this album, Frizzle Fry. Yeah, Frizzle Fry is an amazing song. Yeah, number 12, Primus. Okay, coming at number 11, another artist I've been into since I was a teenager, since high school. And this guy was my inspiration for my sideburns, even though now they kind of look more like Lemmy from Motorhead. But but when I first got sideburns, it was because of this guy. This guy's been around ever since the 60s, and still making music to this day. He's not on Spotify anymore because he's like I think because he's pissed off at Joe Rogan, but whatever. But yeah, that is Neil Young. Neil Young, my favorite Canadian artist. You know, we had Arcade Fire and Leonard Cohen, but Neil Young, I love Neil Young. I know a lot of people don't like his voice. I think he has a great voice. He's just an amazing guitar player, a good songwriter too. And yeah, he's badass. Folk rock is mostly his jam, and sometimes country as well. But he's also experimented a little bit musically as well. He even did an album with Pearl Jam in the 90s called Mirrorball, which I think is a very underrated 90s album. But yeah, Neil Young's amazing. Favorite Neil Young song is Harvest. Yeah, the title song of the album Harvest. Although my favorite album is actually Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. But Harvest is a great song. I love that one. Yeah, Neil Young's my number 11. Now into the top 10. So coming at number 10, we have another band that was at one point my favorite. And that is, that's the Pixies. Yeah, Pixies, I mean, they're just, yeah, one of the best alternative rock bands ever. With a classic lineup of Black Francis and Kim Deal, Joey Santiago, and David Lovering. Kim Deal's no longer in the band anymore. She hasn't been in a while. She does have her own band, The Breeders, and they're great too. I had them earlier. I don't remember what part it was, but yeah. But the Pixies, they're still around. I'm not like a huge fan of all the later stuff. I think Beneath the Eyrie and Indy Cindy are good albums, but the other two I'm not a fan of. I'm mixed on the later stuff, but the earlier stuff, for the most part, I love. I'm not a fan of Surfer Rosa. I think that's an overrated album. I think it's an overrated album, and sound quality sucks on that one. I'm sorry, Pixies fans, but I don't like Surfer Rosa. But the other early albums are fantastic, and my favorite, of course, is Doolittle, which is my second favorite album of all time after Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures. And my favorite Pixies song is Alec Eiffel. That one's so good. Yeah. Number 10 is the Pixies. Coming in at I don't have an album of them, unfortunately, but coming in at number 9, I did have the singer on here earlier as a solo artist, but now I have his band, and that's the Stooges. Yeah, I had Iggy Pop, now I have the Stooges. Yeah, I do like Stooges better than Iggy solo, but that's just because it's just more badass. The Stooges, they were pioneers of the punk rock genre, and Iggy Pop is, in my opinion, the greatest frontman ever. He's just so good. He's in my Mount Rushmore of like the greatest frontman, and my fourth, like my Mount Rushmore of like my influences in terms of like as a good musician of like who I want. Who inspires me to be a good musician? He's definitely on there. Yeah, Stooges, they're amazing. Favorite song from them is Dirt. Yeah. Stooges is number 9. Coming in at number 8, we have another band that was around with the Stooges around that time period, and also the lead guy in this band. He also had like a successful solo career, and his solo career was also on the list as well. But that's my number 8 is the Velvet Underground, Lou Reed, of course. Yeah, they were actually my favorite band at one point. After the Pixies, I listened to Velvet Underground, and I'm like, yeah, they're amazing. And I will say the Pixies are not exactly, but almost kind of a Velvet Underground ripoff, if I'm going to be honest. No, okay, ripoff might be the wrong word, but I would basically just call them Velvet Underground Jr. They're not exactly the same, but they're pretty similar. And like even Black Francis' voice sounds similar to Lou Reed's, so yeah. But they've had a great lineup with Lestrella Morrison, John Cale, Mo Tucker, and even Doug Yule later. He was John Cale's replacement, but just outstanding musicians. And a very interesting band too. Like if there's one word to describe Velvet Underground, it's interesting because they started out as like an art rock band doing all these weird songs. Even their pop songs were kind of weird, like Sunday Morning, and then they also did noisy stuff like Sister Ray. But then later on, they were pretty much just a straight up rock and roll band. But even that stuff was good too. Like the album Loaded, that's basically just rock and roll. And there's even a song on there called Rock and Roll. But yeah, but that stuff was good too. I like even whenever they quote unquote sold out. I mean, I wouldn't say they did, but but even when they sold out, they were still great. So yeah. Favorite Velvet Underground song is "What Goes On." Yeah, great band. They are my number 8. Coming in at number 7, we have a band I didn't even listen to until not until last year actually. So yeah, it's crazy that they're my number 7, but I can't get enough of this band at the moment. Maybe when I update this, they might go and after I listen to their whole discography, they might go down a little, but I'm sure they'll still be on the list. But my number 7 is Sleater-Kinney, one of the most underrated bands ever, underrated '90s band. Like not enough people talk about Sleater-Kinney, and I even heard some people say that they're not good. Fuck all you. Sleater-Kinney is amazing. Corin Tucker, which I've heard a person say that compare her voice to Cat's fucking. Fuck you. Her voice is amazing. Corin Tucker is an inspiration for me as a singer. Like I want to sound like her as a male version, of course. But yeah, she has an amazing voice. So fuck you. You're probably not watching this, but if you were that person, then yeah, fuck you. And Carrie Brownstein's a great guitar player. You might know her if you've seen the show Portlandia, because she's on that show with Fred Armisen. Yeah, that's her. Before she started acting, she was in a rock band. I mean, she still is because this band's still around. But yeah, it's mostly them two, and they do get a drummer. They've had many drummers in the past. They never had a bass player. Well, maybe they do now, like a touring bass player maybe, but like on their albums they don't have a bass player. It's really interesting. But yeah. They're amazing. I just, like I said, I can't get enough of them. I listen to them like almost every day, to be honest. Like my Pandora plays them a lot, and yeah, they're just amazing. Favorite song from them is actually the song that got me into them, and that's "Good Things." Yeah, that song's amazing. Like if you want to hear Corin Tucker sound amazing, there we go. That song right there. One Beat too. She sounds awesome on that one. But number 7, Sleater-Kinney. Coming in at number 6, we have another pretty underrated band. I would say this band's more popular than Sleater-Kinney, but I would still say this band's a little bit underrated just because they're mostly just known for one song, and I think they're much better than that one song. That's Devo. Devo, like this album is what really got me into Devo. After I heard this album, I was hooked automatically. This is their debut. Are We Not Men? We Are Devo, and I think all the songs on this are 10 times better than than Whip It. And they also have other great songs too on other albums. But Devo, and they're an amazing live band. I never see them live, unfortunately. I don't know if I ever will either, just because they're old. And I mean, if I had the opportunity, I definitely would. But I just have a feeling they're probably not going to be around for very much longer. But you know, they're still around. So that's cool. Mark Mothersbaugh he's a crazy dude. Frontman. He has a weird voice, but I love him. He does score for like music and television, or for film and television too. Like he did the Rugrats theme song. So there we go. And he also scored like Wes Anderson movies like the Royal Tenenbaums. So yeah, but Devo, I love Devo. Yeah, they're awesome. And I do believe in de-evolution. Yeah. So yeah, and my favorite song from them is Gut Feeling from the debut. It's so good. That's my number 6 is Devo. Now we're in the top 5. And coming in at number 5, we have another one of my brother's favorite bands. Another band that he got me into. And this band, I think, along with Devo and Sleater-Kinney, I think this is one of the most underrated rock bands ever. Maybe the most underrated, because this band has been around since the 80s, and they don't ever get radio play, which fucking sucks, because they're one of the best bands ever, and they've been around since then, still making music to this day. That's the Melvins. Melvins, I mean, they are popular thanks to the grunge movement and my next band coming up, because they were best friends with them. But yeah, the fact that this, like Buzz Osborne in general, he was the one that started this band. It's been in it ever since the beginning. He doesn't care. This is what I like about the Melvins. Like, well, he and the band themselves, they don't care if people like them or not. They make music for themselves, and because they enjoy it. Buzz Osborne loves making music, and that's why he's still making music to this day. And the fact that Melvins don't ever get radio play, that never stopped him or the band. Like, yeah, like some bands might give up if they don't, make it. No, this band has never given up. They've, like, almost every year they put out at least one album, sometimes even 2, and they're badass. They just recently put out an album too. Yeah, Buzz Osborne's a great frontman, and Del Crover is actually my favorite drummer. Yeah. And Houdini is one of my favorite albums. Favorite Melvin song is Boris. Yeah. Melvins, they're my number 5. Now, coming in at number 4, we have the band that, if it wasn't for this band, Melvins wouldn't make it. But this band's a lot bigger than the Melvins. They're one of the most popular rock bands ever. And much like the Beatles, like, there's some people that say that they hate this band too. They just say it because they're popular, and they say they're overrated. Not at all. My number 4 is the band I have on my shirt and on my wall. That's right. It's Nirvana. And Nirvana was my favorite band for a long time. But they're my number 4 now. There's 3 I like better, but Nirvana's still amazing. That classic lineup, Dave Grohl, of course. I mean, he's a great drummer. I'm not a big Foo Fighters fan, to be honest, but I do love him as a drummer, and Chris Novoselic on bass as well. But of course, Kurt Cobain, he was the main dude. It was his baby, and yeah. Unfortunately, Nirvana died with Kurt. But there's no way you can't have Nirvana without Kurt. You just can't. But he we lost him way too soon. Unfortunately, he even died years before I was 4 years before I was even born. So yeah, but Nirvana, they're just outstanding. Just one of the greatest rock bands ever. And I feel like if you Okay, now if you actually listen to more than two songs by Nirvana and after that you still say that you're not a fan, then fine. You don't have to be a fan of Nirvana, but like if you say that they suck and you only heard two songs, then yeah, no. No. Like actually listen to them. Same with the Beatles. Like you don't have to like them, but yeah, no. They don't suck. They're amazing. Yeah, favorite song from them is Aneurysm. I don't know if I'm saying that word right, but it's Aneurysm. I love that song. Number 4, Nirvana. All right, I'm going to pause this real quick. Be right back. All right. So now we're in the top 3. So coming at number 3, we have my favorite singer-songwriter. And this guy, I think, is also very underrated. Now, he's popular. He is influential, so some people know him, but I feel like not enough people know him. Even after he passed away, I still don't think not everybody knows this guy, and they need to, because this is like just one of the most inspirational music artists to ever live. And he's my number 3. That's the late great Daniel Johnston. Yeah, Daniel Johnston is a huge influence on me because this guy started as a teenager making his own music all by himself, recorded it all by himself. Put it. This was back in the 80s, so he recorded it on tape. He gave it to like everyone he knew and even people that he met for the first time. He just gave them like a tape of his music. And one of them was actually Richard Linklater, and it was even in his very first film, if you've seen it. But Daniel Johnston, that's one thing. He was like he loved making music, and he was very passionate about it. But also he had a really bad case of mental illness, like schizophrenia was a big one for him. And he had it really bad back in the late 80s, early 90s. That's when it got really bad. And that kind of slowed him down from like making it like huge in the music business. But he still made music, and I think he did until he passed away, unfortunately. But yeah, and someone who I don't have the best. Like my mental illness is pretty bad too. Not as bad as his, but like I'm not hearing voices or anything. So, but still, like someone who deals with like mental illness and whatnot, still being creative musically, that's very inspiring to me, and I love his music. His music it's not for everybody. Like the early stuff, especially like this album, for example. Like this was one of the albums that he made himself on tape, and then like all those tapes got remastered and stuff and put on like CD and vinyl, which is really cool. And it's not the best sound quality. It's not the best. Like it's very lo-fi. But if you can get past that, it's very interesting music. Like, I don't know how to describe his music. Kind of folk, but a lot of it's like piano and chord organ was a big one on this album. Sometimes guitar as well. He played acoustic guitar too. And he was also a very crazy talented artist. Like, he drew stuff like this, for example. But, yeah, just an amazing artist in general, musically and, art style as well. Just awesome. I love him so much. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2019. I think a heart attack, unfortunately. But, because he was kind of a big guy. But yeah, but he influenced a lot of great musicians, Kurt Cobain being one of them. And Beck as well, and a bunch of other musicians looked up to this guy, and for good reason, because he was amazing. And I'm I'm one that also looks up to him. He's one of my biggest influences on music, and there's even a song on this album called "Sorry Entertainer" that I want to try to cover with my band. Yeah, like I love Daniel Johnston. Favorite song is "Some Things Last a Long Time." Yeah, beautiful song. Yeah, number 3 is Daniel Johnston. Okay, coming in at number 2. Now, this band I have talked about before. I did a album rank, or yeah, I did a discography ranking for, and I think I did a top 20 as well for them. I think I ranked one of their albums as like ranked all the songs on one of their albums too. Yeah, I've at one point I said that this was my favorite band. I go back and forth between my number 1 and 2, but right now this band is my number 2. And they're a very weird band, but that's why I love them. My number 2 is Ween. Yes, Ween, made up of 2 dudes, Gene and Dean Ween, Jeaner and Diener. Yeah, they make very weird, interesting music, and have been for years. There were just 2 guys, even though, yeah, Ween's on it. That's actually not even their... Gene and Dean's not even their real names either. It's like Aaron and Mickey, I think. But, well, I know Aaron for sure. Aaron Freeman, and Mickey, I forgot Diener's last name. But yeah, you know, they were just 2 guys that met in high school, and they had the same tastes in music and humor as well, and they decided to make a really weird, humorous band called Ween, and like especially their first 3 albums is whenever it was just so weird, and a word that they like to use as and their fans as well, brown, which is like a term of like, I think it's supposed to be like something like intentionally bad, but yeah, something like that, brown. But then I think on Chocolate and Cheese is whenever they started to get more serious musically, and you know, they still had humor for sure, but you know, and they experimented a lot musically. Like, they're definitely not one genre. They even made a country album, so yeah. But they're just very talented dudes, and I love them. I love them to death. Favorite song from Ween is from my favorite album, White Pepper. That's the opening track, Exactly Where I'm At. Awesome opening track, and I think it would be a great closer to a movie too. Like, that's something I kind of want to do myself, because if I'm ever a film director, which I kind of want to, but if I ever do, I want to try to make a movie that has that song as the closing for the film. But yeah, but yeah, Ween is amazing, and yeah, they're my number 2. And they would be my number 1 if it wasn't for this band. So, coming in at number 1, not only are they my favorite, but I even think that they're the greatest band ever. Like, I honestly do. Because they've been around ever since the 60s. Still around to this day. Crazy enough, because they're old as shit. But, you know, they're still making music to this day. They even put out an album last year. They're the greatest band, greatest rock band. Even better than the Beatles. They were around with the Beatles, but yeah, they're even better in my opinion. My number 1 favorite music artist, my favorite band, that is the Rolling Stones. Yeah, Mick Jagger is a big inspiration for me musically. He's one of my favorite frontmen. Him, Iggy, Kurt Cobain, and Daniel Johnston are they're my Mount Rushmore. My biggest influences on music are those 4 right there. And Rolling Stones as a band, just amazing. Started out as a blues rock band. They even started out as a cover band, because in their first album only had 1 original on there. But then, you know, they as it kept going, as it got more popular, they it was still kind of bluesy a lot of the times, but they experimented with other sounds like just rock music in general and funk and country and just a lot of stuff, and they're just, yeah, they're amazing. They're just, in my opinion, the best band ever, the greatest band ever, still around to this day. Crazy enough, I'm sure, like whenever they're probably going to keep going until Mick or Keith dies. I imagine that's probably when they'll stop. Because recently their drummer Charlie Watts passed away, but they kept going without him. So yeah. But the Rolling Stones, I love them to death. I think they're the greatest band ever. As of right now, they're my number one favorite band, my favorite artists, and my favorite song from them is "Play with Fire." But that it keeps changing because they have so many great songs. But yeah, the Rolling Stones, they are my number one favorite music artists. All right. There it is. There is my top 100 favorite music artists. So actually this video is as long as the others. Okay. But yeah, if you made it this far, I thank you very much. If you watched all the other videos if you watched all 4 videos and made it this far, I thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed my list. Down in the comments, give me your, if you don't want to do a top 100, that's fine. I understand completely. But, just give me some of your favorite artists. And also, in this, who are some of your favorites that I had in part 4, in this part? Yeah. So, alright. Please like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, share. And, I'll see you guys next week. I'm going to go back to movies now. I'll do my ranking for all the movies, all the first watches of April, along with and I'll also do my top, or my favorite, ranking my favorite movies of the year 2020, along with like either top 10 or top 20 favorite movies of this decade so far, the 2020s. Yeah. So look out for those. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. All right. Peace.